at the table, bring a folding chair. My motto in operation has been not just to bring a folding chair, but make sure you put that chair close to the serving dishes so you and yours will be fed at that table. Across the country, we've seen a new generation of political leaders doing just that, while a legion of vital women voters push for long neglected reforms. The vision of the Oklahoma Democratic Party is to create a transparent, trustworthy government focused on improving the lives of all Oklahomans. There is much work to be done, but Oklahoma is worth all of the effort. Oklahoma has garnered so much attention in the last month for its history. I'm excited about Oklahoma showing the nation what progress, allyship, and moving forward looks like. From my experience, I know that balancing and raising a family in public service isn't an easy task. I earned my undergraduate degree from Georgetown University School of Foreign Service and my Juris Doctorate from American University while being a mother of very small children. I worked as an assistant district attorney in the Bronx as a prosecutor on many different types of cases and served eventually as a narcotics prosecutor. I was at the Department of Justice as senior counsel under both Deputy Attorney General Larry Thompson and his successor, James Comey, after September 11th. I previously had worked as counsel on the House Committee on Ethics. In the Virgin Islands, where I came home in 2004 to my family's ancestral home, I served as general counsel first for the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority, charged with the economic development of the US territory, and also worked in private practice as counsel and transactional attorney. Being there and seeing the needs of my community is what caused me to run for office. And it's what drives me every day to serve not just the people of the Virgin Islands, of other territories, but all Americans, and particularly those Americans who do not often have voices or underrepresented or are not considered when we're sitting at that table. I've been a member since 2015, and this is now serving my fourth term in Congress. In this term, I became the first member from a territory and only the fourth African-American woman to serve on the House Ways and Means Committee. The House Ways and Means Committee is the oldest and most exclusive committee in Congress, meaning that it has the least amount of members and is the most difficult to be assigned to. Indeed, in the 1970s, House law is that members of leadership got together to agree that no individual who represented any of the territories could ever sit on that committee. It was deemed too powerful and too important for people from the territories who don't even get to vote for president to be able to have that much authority. The committee has jurisdiction of all of our taxes, revenue creation, and other key economic issues. It's the only committee whose functions are discussed in the Constitution. Being on this committee finally gives Virgin Islanders, all territories, and indeed in my embodiment there, those individuals who often are not heard from, a voice with full voting rights in that committee to advocate for equity for so many individuals. I was nominated to committee as a result of vigorous lobbying efforts and work of my office, my team, and commitment to develop relationships with other members of Congress. I often raised my hand frequently for volunteer for things that people don't get to see, not going in front of the camera, but being in the background doing the work. I know all of you in Oklahoma's Democratic Party understand that. As a result, the Virgin Islands is poised to have a strengthened retirement system, social safety net, and critical infrastructure development. I also serve on the Budget Committee, and yes, I serve on the Agriculture Committee. Only in Congress can a girl who grew up in Brooklyn in the projects can serve on the Agriculture Committee. And I believe I really speak for so many people who have food insecurities and want the benefits of our agriculture to serve them. I was pleased, I just want you all to know, you in Oklahoma to know, that I was so pleased to serve with Kendra Horn from Oklahoma when she won. Many saw her victory in 2018 as some sort of upset, surprise, a lucky win. I saw it as the validation of the work of an immensely qualified woman who had what was necessary to win, with the backing of a tremendous ground game of individuals like you all on this call to ensure her victory. Kendra's thoughtful time for those 2 years have many of us yearning for more Democrats from Oklahoma. Her service on science, space, and technology, armed services lend a unique voice. I served with her also as a member of the New Democratic Coalition and was always excited and eager to hear from her. I'm now excited about her work with Xochitl Torres Small from New Mexico and other moderate Democrats with their new organization, Shield PAC, as a way to defend moderate Democrats in swing states. Almost 2 years ago, doesn't seem that long, Alicia, that I was with you guys, but it's almost 2 years now that I came to Tulsa and was really enthralled with the city, and in particular with the Greenwood District. I saw a community of people working really hard to solve old problems, create an inclusive community, learn and make a place that has a future for their children. I was also so excited and really interested in the many Native American nations that are represented in Oklahoma, very distinct groups that are all working together along with other communities in Oklahoma to make Oklahoma stronger. Without a doubt, the Greenwood District of Tulsa was one of the most prosperous African-American communities in our nation's history. A reminder that financial independence is the pathway to economic wealth. Recently, of course, you all are very keenly aware that the topic of reparations has come up in the United States Congress. Reparations, as you know, are a remedy for significant, ongoing, group-targeted wrongdoing. When we ask what sort of remedy, we must begin with asking what sort of wrong? What were the injuries done to the residents of Greenwood, Oklahoma in 1921? And how has the shockwave, the ripples of those injuries unfurled across the country, impacting not only the survivors, but the communities from which and into which they fled? The Tulsa Massacre of 1921 was unparalleled in scope and intensity and has had the same effect as individual racial atrocities committed in our country. The massacre, like other acts of racial oppression, undermined the health, safety, and security of the Black population and redistributed the economic, social, cultural capital of the Greenwood neighborhood of Tulsa, Oklahoma, away from banks and homes and lives of Black people into the pockets of so many others. But we recognize, and I know all of you recognize, that the ripple effect and the detriment is not just to those communities that were targeted, but it affects all of us. We all lose out when wealth is diminished by one or separate groups of us. Congress should look beyond the courts to enable the survivors and their descendants to obtain the redress and compensation commensurate with their injury. I believe that the preferred remedy could be one modeled similarly to the September 11th Victims' Compensation Fund of 2011. I had the honor of being a part of the Victims' Compensation Fund when I served at the Department of Justice after the September 11th attack. The fund could be dedicated resources, not only to individual payments, but to create institutions that enable Greenwood, North Tulsa community, in conjunction with the diaspora, to determine for themselves how best to promote the health, safety, welfare, and economic development of those communities. This kind of type of compensation fund could be overseen by a fund manager or a special master who could identify the various communities impacted and its aftermath, including any living survivors and descendants of the victims. The fund manager could then engage in public hearings to solicit the opinions of various affected communities and individuals to determine how best to apportion fund monies to institutions and individuals as necessary to respond to the harms of wealth transfer, deteriorating or improperly sited infrastructure, and the fragmentation and dispersal of that community. Another solution would be an act tolling the statute of limitations to enable further federal litigation. That solution, however, faces significant problems. In particular, the category of people able to bring suit under 42 USC 1983 would have to be modified to permit a right of action on the part of descendants. If necessary, Congress could define beneficiary in a manner that ensures that the descendant class is included in the beneficiary class. However, forcing the descendants to go through litigation to obtain redress appears an unnecessary step, given that Congress could simply designate a body to assess the extent of the fund necessary to compensate victims, their descendants, the community, and organize disbursement of funds to institutions and individuals. The victims of the Tulsa Massacre include survivors, their descendants, and the communities of Greenwood and North Tulsa have each been wronged and injured in different ways. Any comprehensive remedy must first assess the nature and extent of those injuries. I cannot help but draw parallels between the vitriol of the Tulsa Massacre and the January 6th insurrection. Both were assaults on our collective civil liberties, an affront to all of our rights. I never imagined the events of January 6th, that I would be selected by Speaker Pelosi to serve as an impeachment manager, along with my other colleagues, Congressman Jamie Raskin, Joaquin Castro, Dave Cicilline, Ted Lieu, Joe Neguse, and Congresswoman Madeline Dean and Diana DeGette. It spoke to, I believe, not just the brilliance of our speaker in assembling the team, but also the fact that only in America, and indeed right now, only among Democrats, could we have a group that diverse, that represented not just a range of geography, ages, gender, sexual orientation, experiences. We had individuals who were immigrants, individuals whose families had fled persecution in other countries represented, members who were professors, who had been prosecutors, even a couple of defense attorneys were part of the team. All of us as Democrats coming together to defend our democracy. Only in the Democratic Party could a group that looked like that and be as experienced and sharp and strong as that could have represented and supported our country. Serving as an impeachment manager was not only historic for me as the only Black woman in the chamber at the time, representing a US territory that remains unable to vote for president. Our veterans serve in the territories per capita in greater numbers than any state. And yet those veterans, once living in the territories, are not able to vote for their commander-in-chief. We have so much work to do as a country. And I know with Oklahoma Democrats working hard, we'll eventually get there. It affords me, having been an impeachment manager, also affords me the opportunity to speak to organizations like the Oklahoma Democratic Party and lend my support to your efforts, your events like party conventions that are an essential part of our democratic process and maintaining our majority status at the national level. We know presently there is an assault on voting rights throughout this country. We know that the Republican Party does not like what they see the Democratic Party doing, unifying us, making sure that wealth goes across genders, across demographics in this country, raising the standard living of all Americans, ensuring that we as Americans are continually innovating, continually recreating ourselves, becoming a better nation all the time, not being afraid of our diversity, Even not being afraid of our history, some of it being bad, but looking at full-throated, fully in the face, facing those challenges and moving forward, having allies and those who have experienced pain all working together to make this a better nation. That's what I know the Oklahoma Democratic Party is all about, and that's why I'm here to support you all in any way that you need. Our country has been given a collective opportunity to ask ourselves, not just who we are as a people, not just who America is, but what do we want to continue to be? Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I wish you so much success for your convention and looking forward to having not just one member of Congress coming from Oklahoma, but listen, in a couple of years, a couple of cycles, I want Oklahoma to have a majority of Democrats in the US House and a couple of seats, both seats in the Senate. I'm willing to roll up my sleeves, come there, Oklahoma City, the smallest towns and hamlets in Oklahoma, to support you all to do that. And thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you so very much. I'm so grateful for your time, and I'm so glad to get an opportunity to see you again, even if it's virtually. And as soon as we get, travel ready, we'll invite you back out. Thank you very much for those enlightening words and the parallels that you drew between your history and our history, and the work that we need to do. Thank you so very much. And I appreciate your patience. All righty, thank you all. We will get back focused on our agenda. It is 11:37 now, and we're at the point where I'm going to start talking about welcoming. Welcome you all. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you giving time on a Saturday. That lets me know that you care about our party and that you want what's best for our party. So much effort went into planning of this convention. And the first thing I want to do is I want to thank the staff. The staff, they're all working here on a Saturday. They were here till the wee hours last night, and they're working in the background, and they're doing the work, and I appreciate them. Thank you, Scott, for leading the staff, for having all the practice sessions and all of the walkthroughs, and working the support desk for all of the Democrats who are having challenges. Secondly, I want to thank all of the convention committees. I want to thank Jana Harkins and the Rules Committee and for developing our agenda and developing the rules by which we will follow throughout this convention. I want to thank Amber Jensen, the chair of Congressional District 3, and also the chair of the Resolutions Committee, and all the work that they did. They started out with 519 resolutions submitted throughout the state, and they worked into the wee hours, and they've presented a report that we can work from today and decide what our platform is today. I want to thank Demetrius Barriolas, the Secretary of Congressional District 1 and the chair of the Credentials Committee. That committee, I assure you, I want to let you guys know, they've been at it since 6:30 this morning. And they too were working in the wee hours, and we've had several meetings to get us ready for this day. I want to thank them for their hard work. I want to thank them for their thoughtfulness and their effort to get it right. I want to thank Emily Gamble, the chair of the Arrangements Committee, for pointing out all the issues that we needed to be on top of to make sure that we are going to have a successful convention. And then, as I was the chair of the Constitution and Bylaws Committee, I want to thank my team for showing up, for working the wee hours, for thinking through all of the Constitution and bylaw changes that were submitted and coming up with a report that we can work on today as we develop our rules and how we conduct ourselves as a party. I want to thank the county and district parties for working on their delegate list and communicating in a way that I hadn't seen in a year, getting back and making sure that our delegates are registered, that we have addresses, and that we were able to vet them. Thank you for your hard work in making that happen. To Ryan, Rachel, Scott, and Eric, I want to thank you for putting up with my insistence for weekly meetings to discuss cash flow. It helps me to touch our money regularly so that I know that we are spending it in the ways that we're being good stewards of the money that people donate to the party. And while I'm at it, I want to thank Rachel and Scott for being the ears I needed when I needed to just to say it out loud, enabled me to hang on to a little bit of my sanity as I went through this. David Walters, Kaylin Free, I want to thank you for your guidance and being sounding boards as we built a plan to get our party on solid ground. And additionally, I want to thank all of you just being here. I feel the support. I feel your heart for the party. And I feel the not so subtle nudges of things that you guys would like to see that happens differently. That's the energy that sustains me. And that's the energy that will get us through this convention today. I want to, at this moment, introduce you to, or let you know who our parliamentarian is for today. Our parliamentarian is Nathaniel Block. He is the national parliamentarian for the Young Democrats of America. This was important enough for me that I felt like I needed to go get a professional, somebody who does this all the time. Hi, Nathaniel, who does this all the time, and he will be here to answer our questions and make sure that we're on track and we're following the rules. Thank you for being here, Nathaniel. Joshua Harris Till is our Sergeant at Arms for today. He will be the one who is letting people in and muting people and making sure that we keep the flow going of our meeting and that we observe decorum as we get through this meeting. I would like to recognize our dignitaries who are here today. Someone went off with my list. So first, I want to thank our National Committee Man and Committee Woman, David Walters and Kaylin Free. I want to recognize, this is a scary list, our elected officials that are logged on as of now. Former Senator Anastasia Pittman, Representative Andy Fugate, former Senator Connie Johnson, former Representative Eric Proctor, Senator George Young, Representative John Waldron, former Representative Mike Shelton, Representative Monroe Nichols, Representative Regina Goodwin, Representative AJ Pittman, former Representative Scott Inman, former Representative Donnie Condit, and the NAACP State President, Anthony Douglas. If I have missed someone, please charge it to my head, not to my heart. It was not intentional. I am just so excited that we have over 400 people on the screen. And so I may have missed anyone, but please know that it was not intentional. So let's see, I'm a little bit off on my agenda. All righty, so I want to go through and thank our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we would not be able to get this done today. So I want to extend a special thank you to our presenting sponsors, Mohammed and Hajj Farzana. Okay, these donors have been champions of the Oklahoma Democratic Party and our values of inclusivity and mutual respect for all. Their thriving business, Home Creations, is based right here in Oklahoma. We are so grateful for their contributions to their community of Norman and to all of Oklahoma. And I just want to add a special thank you. They were one of the first people we called to sponsor a convention, and without hesitation, they said, "What do you need?" And I'm grateful to them and always grateful to them. I want to thank our gold sponsors, which are the Tulsa County Democratic Party, and our silver sponsors, Monroe Nichols, Emily Virgin, and Jeff Barong. Our bronze sponsors are Stephen Covert, Stephen Hires, Krista Jones, Margaret Malloy, Ben White, Laura Boyd, Sarah Elizabeth Carter, Governor David Walters, Dana Orwig, and Deb Proctor. Thank you so very much. Even though this is a virtual convention, there were some expenses and we really appreciate you guys. So I want to move on. Great. Okay. Again, if you know any of these sponsors, thank them for us being able to accomplish this convention, because it is to them, in addition to you being here, that we were able to get this done. Now I'm going to open it up for our credentials committee report. I'm going to consult and see if they are ready. So stand by just a second.
We're ready.
Awesome. Glad to see you, Demi.
Hey.
Hi. Is the credentials committee ready to report a credentials report?
We are ready. And I'll submit this report to you by email so you can include it in the documents as an exhibit. We want, first of all, to the members of the credentials committee were listed at the ODP website and in a variety of calls and all that. We have also added staff members, Naomi Andrews, Barbara Cox, Terry Gamble, and Eric Turwey, who are at the present time with the rest of the committee working hard to make sure that everybody's credentialed and that proxies are done correctly. First of all, I'd like to thank the following people who have worked diligently on the committee to prepare for the task of credentialing delegates for this very unique convention, and then actually carried out the credentialing process. Naomi Andrews, Barbara Cox, Megan Cruz, Emily Gamble, Terry Gamble, Crystal Legrone, who's with us from Estonia, by the way, Judy Moore, Nolan Ranza, Mark Rowe, Andrew Rickle, Denise Michelle Satz, and Eric Turwey. In terms of the credentials committee work, the credentials committee met 3 times as announced in the convention call. The committee did not receive any delegate challenges. Most of the meeting time was spent learning a credentialing system which the committee did not create, in order to attempt to provide an accurate and efficient credentialing system for the state convention. I think we're probably in a pretty good shape there doing that. The Credentials Committee is concerned about Rule 2B of the proposed rules and agenda for the ODP Virtual State Convention. The rule states that ex officio members or their proxies shall not be counted in determining if a quorum is present. However, all other proxies shall be counted. The committee is convinced it appears that Rule 2B is in direct contradiction of 2 ODP bylaws. We'll certainly probably discuss that when we get to a discussion of the rules, but the blanket proxy allowance at the end of that rule, we think contradicts the 2 bylaws, and therefore that we need to make some changes there. I would be remiss if I didn't take a chance to insert a personal note. Yesterday was my 16th wedding anniversary, and whenever I get to be credentials chair around a wedding anniversary, I always have to give a shout out to my beautiful wife, a dedicated Democrat, feminist, and realtor, Lori Kane. Now, enough of the palavering, let's talk about quorum. According to ODP bylaw 37, the quorum for this convention is 40% of the certified eligible delegates. Ex officio members shall not be counted in determining quorum. For the purpose of this convention, the Credentials Committee believes that a certified eligible delegate is defined as a delegate who appears on the list of convention delegates certified by the state secretary and who successfully completed the registration process required for access to the convention. So for the purposes of this convention, eligibility is a 2-part standard. That being the case, from the list of 620 certified delegates, 124 delegates elected not to register, and 28 delegates are publicly elected Democratic officials, therefore ex officio officers not counted for determining quorum. So quorum today will be based on 468 certified eligible delegates. 40% of that base is 187. And At the time, just a few minutes ago, we had 358 delegates admitted to the convention. Therefore, quorum at this time has been achieved. And the chair would move for the adoption of the Credentials Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you for that thorough report, Demi. I have a motion on the, do I have to accept that? I have ooh. Okay, before we can vote on your motion, Demi, I have a point of clarification. I want to take a moment and do a practice vote so that everyone can be comfortable with voting. And then I'm going to ask you to make your motion again. Are you okay with that?
Sure, I guess.
Okay, I want everyone to be able to participate. I want everybody to feel comfortable in their participation and comfortable that they will be able to participate as we continue this convention. And so we're going to take a practice vote so that everyone can get familiar with their devices, get familiar with the voting techniques that we will be using throughout the day. Is he talking to me? Okay, so we're not going to take nominations. We're not going to do any of that kind of stuff. I want to point out some of the features of Zoom. Most of you have been on Zoom for a year, but we're doing things a little bit differently today. And so I want to make sure that everyone can participate. So I'd like for everyone to humor me and raise your hand. Depending on your device, it is either under participants or under reactions. And if you are on a phone, it is *9. Right. All righty, so there are some of you who are using the hand clap feature. The raise your hand feature is straight up, and it is either under reactions or participants, depending on your device. I'm loving this. I'm seeing over 200 people with a raised hand. This is wonderful. Let's see if we can get to 300, because we know we have 358 folks. I'm seeing some points of order, and I haven't even gotten to that part yet, so I'm not going to recognize you guys yet because we haven't gotten there. Okay. All righty. So we're close to 300. Come on, guys, you can do it. Look at that. We've reached 300. I'm so proud of you guys. Okay. So here's the thing. We are going to leave the okay, so I'm going to let you guys know that I will not be reading chat through this meeting. I will recognize people with their hands up when we get to that point. That way I can stay focused and we can keep the meeting going. Huh? I can't do that. If you have a question, I'm going to ask you to message Joshua Harris Till. He is a co-host, so he should be able to read the chat and kind of help me out there. Why are you standing there? Okay, so okay, so I also want to teach you guys how to inclusivity is one of our goals. I want to make sure that everyone can participate and hear. And if you're having difficulty, we have closed captioning. It will be on the bottom of your screen, just to the left of your reactions. If you like to have live transcriptions on your screen, click there and you'll be able to follow along. I'm going to be very careful to enunciate because I want everybody to be able to understand, follow along, and participate. Okay, so I'm going to keep talking. I'll acknowledge people when I get through the housekeeping. There were questions prior to the beginning on will people who are dialing in or who are using a device that doesn't have all the features be able to participate, and will they be able to vote? The answer is yes. So we have the *9 for the hand raise. And when we get ready to vote, those people who indicated that they were dialing in or they weren't sure or comfortable with their technology are identified. They will be pulled into a room and they will vote by a roll call vote so that everyone is counted. Now, there are some people I understand who are participating on, how do I say, using a multiple device, meaning that there are two or more people sharing a device, be it a family in a home or be it a watch party at a county. You too will be brought into the dial-in delegate list because group breakout room, because we will need to do a roll call vote for everyone there, because one hand raise disenfranchises all the other people who are there. And we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to participate. So I think that most folks have the raise your hand feature down who are able to, and I am stalling. I'm just going to tell you guys, I am stalling. The credentials committee has asked me to stall for a minute. And I want to make sure that we get all of that wrapped up. But I want to make sure that everybody is good. So stand by and be patient with me. So we have closed captioning. I want to make sure everybody gets that. We're going to bring everybody into the room. When you get ready to vote, let me give you a couple of tips. When you get ready to vote, I need to remind you, you need to vote with the email you used to register, with the name that is on your voter registration card, and with the PIN that you registered with. That is how, and there was a lot of question when we were doing that. Why were we using a PIN? Were we trying to, I don't know, break into your account? I'm not real sure why people questioned it, but it is how we ensure that you are the one casting your vote, because the list of delegates is out there. I know of at least 20 people who have the list of delegates. Somebody could take that list and just go in and vote, but they can't do it unless they have your PIN. And so that's why that's why we've asked everybody to set up a PIN. Now, I think we're ready to do a test vote. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on your favorite number between 1 and 5, including 1 and 5. You should be getting a ballot, Andrew. You should be getting a ballot is going to be dropped into the chat, and that's how you'll vote. And all of the folks who want technical assistance will be brought into a breakout room. And if you do not remember your PIN, at this moment, I'm going to drop all hands. At this moment, raise your hand, and we will move you into the ballot assistance room. Good job, Matilda.
Madam Chair.
How are you unmuted? Yes.
This is Amber Jensen, Chair of the Resolutions Committee. I just wanted to notify the Chair that the Resolutions Committee is ready to present their report whenever you are.
Thank you very much. Why are there so many people in chat?
You don't worry about it. I was sending directly.
Okay. This is fun. Okay, so we had another technical difficulty in the credentials room. And so what's happening is it's not allowing us to drop the ballot in the chat, which is what we need to know and which is why we need to do a practice vote. Alrighty, so give us a second while we get that fixed.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if we could, if you would like to make some fruitful time, use of the time in the interlude, since the motion is on the floor, we certainly could entertain discussion of that while we wait for our friends on the Credentials Committee to solve the technical difficulty.
I appreciate you trying to fill the time. But I fear that may confuse the process. So if you could just give us a second to get the credentials spreadsheet repaired, and we'll get a ballot very shortly.
At this point, oh, sorry.
Okay, guys, the ballot has not been dropped in chat, so you're not missing it. You're not missing it. We have to repair the credentialing spreadsheet in order for the ballot to be created and put in the chat. So you're not missing it. It's not a technical difficulty on your side. And as soon as we are able to drop the ballot, I will announce that. So please stand by. Okay. Again, the ballot has not been put in the chat just yet. So if you're not seeing it, it's not you. We have to correct the credentialing spreadsheet so that the ballots can count, and we are working on correcting that. Now, the folks with raised hands, I am assuming that you are a person requesting technical assistance, and the volunteers, I didn't thank the volunteers. We have a whole building full of volunteers here, and I am grateful for them. The volunteers are working on moving you into the technical assistance help rooms so that you will be able to cast your vote. You will not be left out. And if you've forgotten your PIN, you're going to be moved into that room as well. Mary, if you can't raise your hand, it's either in participants or reactions. And if you're on a phone, it is *9. Hi, all. I see we're getting one question repeatedly, and so I want to make sure that you guys understand. When you registered, you created your PIN. If you can't remember, because I do that all the time, if you can't remember what PIN you set, you were sent an email that has your PIN. You were sent an email to the email you used to register. I hope that provides a little bit of clarity. It's not the passcode that you used to join this. It is a PIN that you created when you registered for this convention. And it was also sent as a confirmation in your registration email. Okay, I know I keep saying the same thing, but again, I want everybody to be able to understand what is happening. And so I'm gonna keep repeating because I want everyone to understand. We contracted with a company to set up our voting to make sure that when we do vote, you will be able to see the results on the screen instantly. That's a lesson we learned from last year. But in order for that to work, our credentialing spreadsheet had to stay the exact same. We have a dedicated team of volunteers working on credentialing, and in their sort process, they rearranged one of the columns. Not that big of a deal, but it kind of broke the spreadsheet. And so we're in the middle of fixing it and coordinating it with our outside service. And so what happens, no, everyone created a PIN. So what's going to happen when we finally get this up and running and we drop the ballot into the chat, it's going to ask you to enter your first name, your last name, how you're going to vote, and your PIN. That's what you need your PIN with. So maybe this is divine intervention to give you a chance to find your PIN so that you will be ready when we finally are ready to drop the ballot in the chat. So please be patient with us. We are working on it. It's just another lesson that we get to learn on the spot. So there's a question, how will you vote your proxy? When the ballot is sent, it will be pretty easy. When the ballot is sent, you will vote your ballot. And at the bottom, it will say submit another ballot. And then you will vote your proxy if you're carrying a proxy. If you're a voter and a proxy. If you're just here as a proxy, you will just vote one. So for the people who say they don't remember their PINs, that's fine, no biggie. We're in a break time, so this actually gives you an opportunity. It's a 4-digit number. This gives you an opportunity to go back to your email and find your PIN.
Excellent. Thank you, Deb.
Okay, I think we're ready. So if you had your hand up, someone tried to move you into a breakout room, and you should have gotten a flash box
Okay.
to show you to join a room. And it would have been a blue join at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Go ahead and join that. That's
I'm back.
where you're going to get your help.
No one delete anything.
That's where you're going to get your help. And we've moved the people who also were having difficulty locating their PIN, because we can tell you your PIN in those rooms as well, because we do want everybody to be able to participate. Okay, alrighty. So, Andrew, are we ready?
We are ready.
Alrighty. We are about to put the ballot in the chat, and you will click on the link and fill that out. And that is how we'll vote. And I will remind you, now I've forgotten. The thing that we're voting on is your favorite.
Go ahead and delete it.
Okay, stop chatting with me, because while you're chatting, you're clogging up the chat and people can't see the ballot.
No, they can't. They can all messages.
You're voting on your favorite number between 1 and 5, including 1 and 5. So click on the link in the chat and cast your vote.
Still like for 2 seconds.
The ballot is in the chat. The ballot is in the chat. Please click on the ballot, cast your vote. If you're unable to see the ballot, click on the chat, which should be on the bottom of your screen, right about here. Just click on the chat bubble and it'll bring up a box right there, and you should be able to click on the ballot. Don't drop a number. Don't just type in 3. Click on the ballot. The 3s don't get counted. Okay, so we're getting a lot of people saying that they can't see the ballot. It's all one chat, and I don't know if it's a device issue or not, but if you can't see the ballot, raise your hand. You will be taken into the ballot assistance room, and you will be assisted in that way. People need to stop texting me. Why are you texting me? This is why we're doing a practice ballot. We want everybody to get comfortable. There are now, the ballot has been posted twice. If you can't see the ballot, we will move you into the ballot assistance room. We are still waiting on 150 folks to cast their votes. So if you are able to, please go ahead and cast your vote.
I would love to like have an answer for you.
For those of you who aren't sure, we are selecting your favorite number between 1 and 5, including 1 and 5. And this is just a practice vote. And as we see, we needed to practice. This is just a practice vote. There, the link has been put in the chat twice. And so if you are on a device where you're unable to see the link, please raise your hand and we'll move you into the technical assistance room.
You can do a screen share, but you can't do it of your.
Okay, it just occurred to me why some of you are saying that you can't see the link. The link is all of the crazy letters that are underlined. Click anywhere in that conglomeration of letters, and that should take you to the ballot. Hope that helps. There have been a couple of requests to open the chat. We will not be opening the chat.
The gentleman from CD5.
So when you click on the link, unless you have some super settings on your computer, it should not take you out of Zoom. You should be able to complete the ballot and stay in Zoom. I think some people are messaging me directly. I'm going to repeat, I'm not going to, there's no way I can do this and also read messages. And so I'm going to ask you to message our Sergeant at Arms, Joshua Harris Till. Oh, I am so grateful for your patience. And I know that we tend to get comfortable when we're Zooming from home. And I'm glad that everyone is comfortable. I'm going to ask that if you are logged on and you're a little tired, just kind of walk away from your device. What is the holdup? There are still 40 people who've not been able to be credentialed because they keep getting moved around because people are logging in and logging off and logging in. So I'm going to ask you to please, please, please stay logged in so that those folks who are trying to get in are able to get in. Thank you. I wanted to give you guys an update. 19 years ago, when Demi gave us a quorum update, we were at 358 delegates in attendance. We are now at 255 voted delegates, which means we still have a little over 100 delegates who have not voted. So it is 12:45. At 12:50, we're going to move on because I want to respect the people who have done it and I don't want to lose quorum. And so if you're with someone who is having difficulties, please encourage them to raise their hand, either using the participants, reactions, or *9 feature so that we can get them help so that they can get voted.
Don't worry about it. I got you.
Okay, so a lot of people are just now joining. And so I'd like to tell you how you're going to vote. We are voting on your favorite number between 1 and 5, and that includes 1 and 5. Please go to the chat. Joshua Harris Till just dropped the link to the ballot. Please go to the chat, select the ballot, and cast your vote. And welcome. Okay, so we have pulled up a convention ballot because I want you to see how easy it is. It's not as scary as it seems. So you click on the link with all the cluster of words and underline. You enter in your email, your full name, your county, and your 4-digit PIN. And that's how your ballot is counted. Anyone who dropped a number in the chat, I want to be very clear. The number in the chat does not go to the spreadsheet that counts the ballots. And so your ballot won't count. And this is just a practice ballot, so it doesn't matter here, but I do want everyone to be able to participate. The link is in the chat about 5 times. So you should be able just to kind of scroll up a little bit and find the link. It should not disappear. like I said, I'm going to give it just a few more minutes. I want everybody to be able to participate. I want you to see how really easy it is. You don't have to really be technical. I hope this is helpful. Okay, so this is more of the ballot. We had to take it down so you wouldn't see Josh's secret code. You pick what you're voting for, what number you like, and you hit submit. There are some folks who joined after I gave the original instructions. We are voting for your favorite number between the number 1 and 5, including the numbers 1 and 5. The ballot is in the chat. So go to the chat. It's the conglomeration of numbers with an underline. That is the link. Click on the link. It will pull up your state convention ballot. Pretty easy, simple information to fill in. And if you are carrying a proxy, when you get to this screen, you submit another response. And that's how you vote for the second person. I want to reiterate, because it looks like people are back to chatting with me. I won't be answering chats. And so I'm going to encourage you, and I know there's some new people who have joined. I'm going to encourage you to send your message to Joshua Harris Till directly, because we want all the questions answered. I just can't do it. Daniel, if you could join the breakout room, there is a question for the parliamentarian there.
This is Greg.
At this time, no, let me acknowledge you. At this time, I'm going to acknowledge the people who I've asked to unmute themselves, and I'm only answering questions with regards to the ballot. Any other questions at this point would be out of order. So first person I'm acknowledging, I'm going to tell you in order so that you know how you're waiting. We have Vicki Cotton, Marion Hill, David Glover, Greg Bledsoe, and Betty Harris. Vicki, what is your question?
They still are.
Okay, Vicki, I'm going to come back to you. Marion Hill, what is your question?
My question was about how to get into the meeting. I was sitting waiting for a long time. I had to go off to find out what the phone number was to call to get in, and I'm in the meeting now, so I'm fine.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to lower your hand.
Yeah.
David Glover.
I
Oh, I'm
question.
sorry. When I call on you, please tell me your name and your county.
David Glover, Oklahoma County. Just had a quick question on voting in the ballot. I was told by Jimmy Curry that he was going to give me his proxy, but I'm not sure exactly how I'm supposed to vote the second time. Do I use his name, his email, and his PIN number? Because I was never given his PIN number because I didn't register him. What's the method of use? And I'm also not positive which email I'm supposed to use or exactly how to vote someone's proxy correctly.
Put in his name, his email, your PIN,
Okay, thank you.
and we will self-resolve. That's a good question. I bet a couple of other people have that question. Thank you, David.
Real quick, just well, I'm not positive which email he used to register himself, though. I know a couple of his emails, but I'm not positive which one he used. So those might not match because I was never told his email.
All righty, we can resolve this on this end. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Greg Bledsoe, Betty Harris, Laura Williams, and Laura Lovell are the order that we're going in. Greg.
I've submitted a
Greg, I'm going to ask you to state your name and your county for the minutes. Did he get muted?
I've submitted a question in the chat to Joshua, so I think it's better that be resolved there. Could you ask him to respond, please?
Absolutely. Folks are blowing up the chat to Joshua, which is why we're not opening up the chat to everyone.
I think it's better one-on-one rather than in this group.
That works. That works. Your hand was up and I'm trying to be responsive. Thank you, Greg. Greg Bledsoe. It's D. Greg Bledsoe. D like Derek. Betty Harris.
Betty Harris, Cleveland County. I sent several messages out because I was let into Zoom, but my husband was kept in the waiting room from 9 o'clock on. He has finally gotten on. I sent so many messages in the chat, and he has voted. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. And I apologize for the delay. There were folks who were hopping in and hopping out and confusing the credentials team as they were trying to let people in. And I apologize that it caused a bottleneck. And then we just finally let people in because it's rude and discouraging for folks to have to hang out in the waiting room. And I sincerely apologize. It was not their intention. They are hardworking volunteers.
Thank you.
Laura Williams. I'm sorry, Laura. Laura, you're muted.
Laura Williams, Comanche County. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi. Where do you find your PIN, your 4-digit PIN?
Okay, so you created your PIN, and on the very first email, it was sent back to you. But if it's not there, the next time we're going to put you into a delegate assistance room, and they will give you your PIN so that going forward, you can vote with your PIN.
Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Lovell. I hope I said that right.
Yes, my name is Laura Lovell. I'm the chair for Adair County. And I have put in 2 practice votes. How do I know if they've been received?
You said you voted twice?
Yes, ma'am, on the practice ballot.
Awesome. So what we're trying to do, if we can just get everybody to vote, but after I acknowledge Jill, we're going to go and we're going to reveal the votes. We're just trying to get everybody to vote, and you will be able to see your vote.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Laura. Salima.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. My question has already been answered. I just didn't see the link, and now I see it, so thank you.
Okay, so I have Jill Acree and then Jody Harlan. Jill Acree. Jill? All righty, we'll come back to you, Jill. Jody Harlan.
This is Jody Harlan from Canadian County. Good morning, and Madam Chair and delegates. I hate to ask this question, but I have delegates that are asking about the process to assign their proxies. And it is relevant to the vote, the voting process. So what are they supposed to do? Thank you.
Okay.
And I encourage everybody to hang in there, but it might be necessary for some.
Thank you, Jody, for being ever diligent and responsive for your folks. If you need to assign a proxy, reach out to Joshua Harris Till. We will get you moved into a room, and the process is we're going to move you into a room, you and your proxy, and you guys follow that form, and we can get you taken care of. Oh, there's a whole bunch of hands. Okay, so I'm going to call on everybody, but I am only answering questions as it pertains to this practice ballot that we just did. We've been an hour in on the practice ballot, and I am sure you guys want to get on with the business of the get on with the business of the convention. Thank you, Jody. I hope I answered your question. Okay, thank you. Jill Acree, are you available are you there? Okay, so I'm going to move on. All righty. Janet Brewster.
My question has been answered. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Janet.
The discussion that started the day about how to confront the rise of China, the G7 leaders announcing what they're calling.
Okay, Kaylin, I think dropped her hand. Oh, no, Kaylin Free. Okay, I'll come back. D Low.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, Kaylin, I can hear you.
My issue has been resolved.
Thank you very much.
I was able to vote.
Wonderful. I'm going to ask everyone when you speak to state your name and your county. So for the record, D Low. All righty, I'm going to move from D Low. Move to Reba and Terry Amin.
Madam Chair, our problem has been resolved.
Thank you, Reba. Glenda Fowler. No, I'm sorry, Delonia Lowe.
My issue has been resolved. I was on the phone line first and wasn't able to place the ballot, and I've just logged on to Zoom as well, and so I was able to place my ballot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should be, once you have your ballot.
Linda Fowler, if you would unmute yourself. And Glenda, if you when you do speak, please state your name and your county for the record. Glenda Fowler. On Corey Wallen.
In Tulsa County, just real quick, what's the best method of contact for the Sergeant at Arms?
You just chat directly with him.
Through Facebook or through the text?
Through the chat feature here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Aaron Quinn.
That's my job. That's what I'm trying to do. Hi, Erin Quinn with Tulsa County. So I messaged this to Joshua, but it might be an issue because I've talked to several other people, and I don't have the option, and several other people don't, to message everyone in the chat. Like, you're the default for messaging, and I have direct messages only. So that might be why you are getting bombarded, and moving forward with the actual vote, that might be a huge issue, because all I have is the option to select any of the other hosts, but you are automatically the default. And I had to actually go find Joshua's name in the chat in order to be able to message him directly. So that will probably be a huge issue coming up with the actual vote.
Aaron, thank you so very much for that teachable moment. And so I am going to take the teachable moment. Because this is hosted on my Zoom, I am the default, which is why I keep repeating, don't send me a message, because I can't keep up. Josh is over here typing so fast his fingers are bleeding. So there's no way that I could keep up with that. So I'm going to just continue to repeat. Reach out to Josh. He's typing as fast as he can. He is getting back to folks. But that's why we had to go through this practice vote. It is my hope that once people see that it wasn't a big boogeyman and it wasn't as hard as we maybe thought, that it should go quicker going forward. But I do appreciate the teachable moment, Aaron, because I can't see that on my side. Glenda Fowler. I know you have something because you keep raising your hand. I really wish I could answer your question. I've hit unmute for you. Glenda Fowler. Okay, so I'm going to move on.
Madam Chair, you're muted.
That was intentional. Okay, so Andrew is about to put up our voting results so you can see how this works. We've gotten through it. It should be easier going forward. Andrew, please unmute yourself and explain to people what they're seeing.
Okay. Hopefully you all can hear me. So this is the ballot that we just voted. These are the totals and the percent of each vote. So of this vote, we had 15 individuals that returned no match. What this means is that of the total number, of people that voted. Either their PIN was invalid or they just were not registered for convention, and so those votes bounce. Of the entire people that are eligible to vote, 217 did not vote, of which 294 did.
271.
Oh, 271? I'm showing 294.
The no votes, you said.
Oh, 271 no votes, whereas there were 294, yeah, like votes in totality. So of that, here's the breakdown. It looks like the number 3 is everyone's favorite number between 1 through 5. And then in the event that, say, division were to be called, we can then display exactly how each and every one of those individuals as delegates voted here in this tab. So we'll see that.
Yikes, I don't like for people to see other people's pen.
Yeah. Go back to the results sheet.
Okay, don't change screens without telling people what their seat, please.
So this is the result of our first vote.
God, what a hunker.
Thank you, Andrew.
I'm going to reconcile these.
So this is what we will see when, this is what we will get, where we'll be able to calculate, we'll be able to post how people voted, so people will understand what's voted. Now, going forward, we are not going to take an hour to vote. We are going to get through this process. We're going to vote. We're going to get through convention. It's 1 o'clock and we have not even certified our credentials. So I would entertain a motion from the credentials chair.
Madam Chair, my motion is still on the floor from earlier to adopt the credentials report.
I don't know how to unmute him. Oh, he's only muted on my computer. Okay. I'm sorry, my computer was muted because me and Andrew are in the same room. I apologize. Could you restate your motion, please?
Yeah, I want to go on ahead and the motion before the practice vote was on the floor to adopt the credentials committee report.
Awesome. And according to the rules, I don't need a second. Righty? So we are going to, ready, Andrew? We're going to drop a ballot in the chat. Don't move. Do not move. I will tell you when the ballot's been dropped, and then I want you to vote. It is 1:14. Let's accomplish this vote by 1:24. So if you have to go get you a snack, you got to go check with the folks at your home, vote, and then do that. It is 1:14. Andrew? To accept the credentials report. And we're about to drop the ballot into the chat.
I don't know how I do that. Still doing this.
Point of order, do we debate?
Hmm?
Jana? Point of order, do we debate from Jana?
Are we supposed to?
Actually, thank
Oh, poor Dale. It's not me. Stop talking.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, Crystal.
Okay, so there has been a point of order asking for chat with regard to the credentials report. So the rules say that if there is a debate on one of the reports, that it is, I don't remember how many minutes we get to debate. Okay, so we're going to debate for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. All righty, so we have 2 minutes and it's just a rant. It's a real 2 minutes. So I'm going to recognize you in order. Please be courteous. Don't suck up the whole 2 minutes. And I'm just going to recognize you in order. And when 2 minutes is up, 2 minutes is up. Are you ready? All righty. So I'm going to go through and unmute folks, but we're going to wait until we're recognized. When I say your name, please say your name and your county before you start talking. And that order was made by Jana Harkins. So go ahead, Jana.
Hi, this is Jana Harkins, Oklahoma County. I was just raising the point because I know that debate is required. I don't want to debate. I hope nobody debates it, but debate is required by the rules.
Thank you, Jana. I see more hands, so I'm going to go with Jim Potts, Wes, Demetrius, Jamie, Greg, until we run out of time. Jim Potts?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a point of inquiry.
Jim Potts, your name and county, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Jim Potts, and I'm from Oklahoma County.
Thank you.
And I have a point of inquiry regarding this debate. Are we debating the original Credential Committee's report from presented earlier in this meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I would like to make a point of order that the committee's report was not in compliance with Article 2 of our Constitution. And I'll let somebody else have more time if they need it. You all can do whatever you want with it.
Demetrius? Demetrius?
Yes, yes.
You were just next, and we still, there's still.
Yeah, well, I just wanted Josh wanted to reserve the time in case somebody spoke out against the report. And I really don't have any idea how we're not in compliance with Article 2, but that's about all.
Okay.
Thanks.
Don't forget your name and your county. Greg Bledsoe?
Terry Olis from Tulsa County. Okay.
Greg Bledsoe? Okay, we're out of time.
My question was, it's been more than an hour since the original report was submitted. Could it simply be restated? And secondly, shouldn't a revised report be submitted since we've had additional delegates register since then?
Okay, so one, that was out of order because it was past the 2 minutes, but because this is going a little bit slow, I do want to honor it so that everyone knows what is going on. All righty. We need to vote, and it needs to take less than an hour. We are not going back into credentials. How we will take a quorum going forward is absolutely by voting. That way we get the people who are on multiple devices, or multiple people on one device, or multiple people in one room. It is a vote. And so I need everyone to vote expeditiously. So I'm going to ask the chair of the credentials to do an abbreviated version, because it has been an hour and more people have joined. Some people have left, some people have forgotten. So I'm going to ask the chair of the credentials committee to briefly do a review of your report. And then we're going to vote for a quorum count. So get yourselves ready to vote. Please get yourselves ready to vote. Demetrius Barriolis from Congressional District 1, Tulsa County, what you got?
Well, okay, an abbreviated discussion of the report. There was a thank you. We talked about the fact that the Credentials Committee worked. I mentioned to you that we are concerned about Rule 2B, and we'll discuss that during the proposed rules of the agenda. Then we talked about quorum and the adjustment that needs to be made. The original report is valid considering when it was made, but the adjustment would be that at the present time, we show 585 as a basis minus, excuse me, let me do a math real quick, that we show 557 would be the top end of delegates. And so we need to maintain 40% of the 557.
Are you going to make me do the math, sir?
If you'll just give me a second. 223 would be the quorum threshold based on the amount of participants that we have right now, which is just the shade above at the site that we have, a shade above at 557 when we take out the ex officios. So that's the updated report.
Okay, so there has been a quorum call. And so we are going to vote to make sure that we still have a quorum. So the thing we're voting on has changed, Andrew. Quickly. We're going to, this is a quorum. Greg Bledsoe.
That makes no sense. We have 450 people in the meeting. Okay. So the chair, but the chair has the ability to be like, I'm gonna like see that we have 450 people in this meeting, and when we establish quorum, there was less than 450 people in this meeting. I'm going to say that I do believe that we have quorum and we're out of order. Now,
Greg Bled, no.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think that okay, so no need to tell me that there's not a link, and I'm going to remind the folks not to message me. There's not been a link dropped. So the chair is going to make a call on this since the word quorum call was not made. And there are more participants showing at this time than were showing when the credentials chair gave his report originally. That we're going to forego the quorum call, and we're going to vote on accepting the credentials report as Thank you, Brandy. It was not my intention to be muted. I don't know how I got muted. We are about to drop the link. Stop with all this extra stuff. Drop the link. I don't know what that is. What is that? Doesn't feel like a link.
you said it's the same link as last time, man?
It is.
Should be able to go.
Okay, so the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. Please access the link and vote. It is 1:26. I'm going to shut down the ballot at 1:36 to give time for the manual voters. It is 1:26. Please, please, please go vote now. And if you need assistance, and you didn't tell us at the beginning that you need assistance, please raise your hand and you will be moved. You will be moved into the ballot assistance room. So every hand raised will be acknowledged as someone wanting to be moved. Okay, all. I still see some hands up. They're trying to move you to get your vote. I'm going to encourage you to try to click on the link and see if that works. We had 5 people register and tell us that they were going to need technical assistance. And both times we've tried to vote now, it's been over 50 people. So I'm going to ask you to brave it out, to click on the link. If the link doesn't work, copy it and paste it into a new browser. It's super, super easy. So we can get this to happen pretty quickly. And it works whether you're on a phone, a tablet, or a PC or laptop or Mac, I guess. So I'm going to encourage you to try it. It's not as tough as it seems. Okay, we're just about ready to calculate. There are 24 people that look like they've tried to chat with me directly. I want everybody to be heard. I want everybody to be responded to. Chatting with me, though, is not how that's going to happen. I'm going to encourage you to change it from me and send your chat to Joshua Harris Till. And I'm just going to keep repeating it because I don't want anyone to feel like they're being left out or ignored. But I want to channel you to the right place where it is that you need to be chatting. I'm going to recognize you, Susan, just to see if you need to be moved in a room, but I'm not recognizing any motions at this moment. Susan McCann.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just have a question following this report.
Okay.
So I'll wait until that time.
Okay, great. And then I am going to reiterate that when we speak, please state our name and county for the record for the minutes. Okay. How many people have voted, Andrew?